out gradually, starting with the devices running Windows 11 21H2 for the longest time. For those of you who just can't wait, and I'm sure there are some of you out there, open Windows Update Settings and select Check for Updates. If your device is ready, you will see the option to download and install. If Microsoft detects that your device might have an issue, and that's spotty at best, such as compatibility, they might... What?
So that's if they detect you'll have an issue.
Right.
Yeah. They usually don't.
They might put a safeguard hold in place. In that case, the update will not be installed automatically until the issue is resolved, if ever. Right now, the only compatibility hold blocking the Windows 11 2022 update affects systems with specific driver versions for Intel Smart Sound Technology, or SST, on Intel 11th Gen Core processors that trigger blue screens of death. No, the blue screen of death is not gone, ladies and gentlemen. That issue can be resolved by updating the Intel SST drivers. After updating the affected Intel driver, it can take up to 48 hours before you can install the Windows 11 2022 update on your system. So our poll of the week at soundbytes.org, that is Bytes with a Y, Francis would like us to remind you, is Microsoft? Cheese and crackers on a stick. Microsoft starts forced upgrading Windows 11. And your choices are, thanks, Microsoft. Well, what can it hurt? But I'm not emotionally ready. Meh. Well, time to look at a Chromebook. Microsoft. And none of the above. So far, we have 29 votes, and Microsoft is almost half of them. But I know that you'll have more to say about this, so you can give us a call. 585-966-JAZZ. That's 966-5299, toll-free 1-800-790-0415.
One thing I just noticed from one of their great updates is I turned down one of my other computers up in my ham room, and now all of a sudden I have this great feature that when I open up a program, the stupid thing starts talking to me.
Oh, yeah.
And I can't find, I was trying to figure out.
It's under accessibility. It's the screen reader, basically.
Yeah, screen.
So it's under accessibility. You can turn it
on. Annoying. I didn't have time. It's like, wait a minute. You were supposed to update the system, but not change all these stupid TD settings.
Yep.
I don't mind them adding new features, but when they change the way something has worked for years, it's really annoying.
Right, particularly when it's something you can turn on or off by yourself.
Yeah.
I did not ask for this to be turned on. Why is it on?
Yeah.
Exactly. No, I get that. But yeah, look, on the one hand, you got to sympathize with Microsoft. People are still using very, very old versions of Windows. I mean, we're still seeing people using Windows 7, which, by the way, is absolutely no longer supported, so you're entirely on your own. People are still using Windows 10, and so you've got a real problem for Microsoft. How do they continue? Look, they don't want to support the old operating systems. They just don't. But if they don't support them, they get a bad rap in the community. Mm-hmm. Well, my original Windows 7 stopped working. Microsoft sucks. Well, excuse me. That operating system is older than your socks.
Yeah,
Why
but
are you still
11 though
using it?
requires that new chip.
Well, it doesn't.
To some degree.
To some degree. But yeah.
What about my XP?
But if you're running 11, well, right. I still use DOS. If you have Windows 11 2021, then they want you to upgrade to Windows 11 2022 so they can get rid of 2021.
Yeah.
They've already gotten rid of most of their support people and all of their QA people. So the fewer versions of their own operating system, they're a victim of their own success. Mm-hmm. Windows 7 ran great.
Oh, it did. I mean, they didn't even have to put out a patch for it.
Right. Windows 7 ran great.
Which
and
was totally unusual for most systems. I mean, they brought out 8, and right from the get-go, that was a piece of trash that they quick pulled it and re-endorsed Windows 7.
Yeah, because they assumed everyone would be using touchscreen tablets, and They were about, what, 5-10 years too soon?
Yeah, and they're still 5 or 10 years too soon. I mean, just because a lot of people have them now, but they still don't use them as touchscreens.
Yeah.
Every once in a while, I forget that this one
Has it? Yeah.
touchscreen.
And you touch it wrong,
And I go, take a look at that. Oh, I just clicked on something.
every now and then we'll have someone ask, when is Apple going to do a touchscreen Mac, or will Mac OS ever run on an iPad? And we think the short answer is no. In fact, Phil Schiller had a giant 60-foot no on one of their keynote videos once. But
Yeah, but the latest
He
rumor
didn't
is
want to
that they're
leave any
putting out-
doubt.
well,
Right.
it works the other way. Now that the Mac is running on the Apple Silicon processor, you can run on iPhone apps on your Mac if the developer lets you. They have to hit a switch when they compile it.
Right.
But the targets on a Mac are designed for a pointer.
Right.
And sometimes even on my iPad, I want to close a tab in Safari. That touch target's really small for my finger. So they assume everyone has a touchpad now
Well,
on your iPad.
or you're using a stylus.
A stylus, yeah.
Yeah. All right, let's go to the phones. Our first caller is Tim from Rochester, New York. What's up, Tim? Tim?
Yeah, I have a question on cell phone safety, a general question and a specific one. I have a friend who is trying to get out of an abusive relationship, and she's really concerned that her abuser has planted spyware on her phone that enables him to track her calls and her texts. She told me that he has the IMEI number on the phone, which she thinks gives him unlimited access to, enables him to do all sorts of bad things. From what I've been reading, that may be helpful, but he also actually needs to have access to the phone to plant spyware on it. Is that the case? And what can she do to make sure that she doesn't have spyware and that she locks him out of it?
Well, there are a couple of things that she can do. The safest thing to do is to get a different phone.
And get a non-smartphone.
Or get a non-smartphone.
Then you can't put any apps on it.
Right. Look, if she has, is it an iPhone or an Android phone?
It's an Android.
That's actually a little easier, because if he had access to her iCloud account, he's got much more access to the phone.
Well, if he has access to her Google account, too, it's similar.
Similar,
Yeah.
but not quite as. First thing to do is to change her Google password. No,
Okay.
first thing to do is, change her Google password and then wipe her phone. First, I'm sorry, I'm not doing this in order. The first thing she should do is remove all the apps she doesn't use every day. Just delete them from her phone. Just in case there is an app in there.
That looks
What
by
about-
a phony name.
What about rootkit? What is
Yeah.
it? Non-secure apps. He could have
Then-
loaded something like that.
Let me continue. Then she should probably go to securitytango.com, and under Let's Dance, she should go to the Android section, the Android Alamand, and download one of the antivirus programs that are available there, and run it on her phone to see if there is anything in there that it flags. Once she's removed any app she doesn't normally use, particularly if she sees something she doesn't recognize,
Yeah. When in doubt, pitch it out. You can always write the name down. You can always reinstall it.
exactly. So remove everything that she doesn't understand or normally use. Check the phone for any viruses and clean them if they're there. Then change her Google password and then wipe the phone and reinstall it like it's new. All the apps she has left will come back down again when she signs in with her Google username and password. But the fact that she has deleted apps she doesn't use, cleaned the phone, changed her password, and wiped the phone means that she should be clean. The only other thing she could do to be cleaner would be to get a different phone.
Okay.
To do all of that and then get a different phone to log in with.
Then the problem moves that if he has her IMEI, the new phone will have a different IMEI. But
Right,
if he has her phone number too, he can go to a buddy at the cell phone company and read all her text messages.
If he has an
Yeah.
in at the phone company, then yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Nothing you do on the phone will help because they're at the phone company.
Right.
Wow.
And you see a lot of that in cop shows where they subpoena. Well, actually, you don't. Cops don't have to subpoena phone companies to get records. Phone companies sell all that stuff to the cops, and police have portals to log in and easily get your
View it.
cell
Right.
phone records.
All they have to do is pay for it. So if this person has an in at the phone company or is willing to pay the price, they would be able to get all that information. However, if she changes her phone number, and I realize this is a pain in the neck, but if she's trying to get away from an abuser, this is not too much to ask.
Right.
Simply first do all the stuff I said to the phone to clean it out as much as possible. Then wipe out that phone, get a new phone number, and then pull down all the old data
Okay.
with the new password that she has changed from the old phone, because that username and password is actually living at Google.
Okay. And I'm assuming too that she should password protect her phone.
Yeah, absolutely.
Definitely.
She should do
Yeah.
all of that. She should have. If she buys a version that is biometric, she could use her fingerprint. If it's one of the face lock types, she could use her face. Although I don't like those. I just
Yeah.
don't like them. I realize it's a cheaper thing for the phone company to do, for the phone manufacturer to do, because you don't have to put the fingerprint sensor in. But I just don't like them. I don't think they work as well, and I
they
don't
almost
think they're
all
as secure.
They almost all fall back onto a passcode too.
Right.
Yeah.
And if she can make her passcode something that he couldn't guess, her stalker couldn't guess.
Because that's a lot of times physical access. In 10 minutes I can download a rootkit and have full control of your phone.
Right. And make sure she doesn't leave it anywhere. Give it to anybody.
Yeah.
Right.
So that
Okay.
I mean that it's fairly drastic, but then we're talking about a fairly serious thing.
Yeah.
Yep. Yep. Got it. Okay. Well, thanks a lot for the information, and I'll pass it on to her.
Yeah. Tell her good luck from us.
Yep. Thank you.
Thanks. Bye bye.
Okay. Bye.
Yeah, and this is true for everybody, as a matter of fact. Password protect your phone. Protect your phone with a password and with biometrics of some sort. I know. Oh, what a horrible pain in the neck. I have to type in a password every time I turn my phone on. I don't care.
That's annoying. And no one wants my phone.
You're right.
Yeah.
If you're worried about someone getting at your phone for whatever reason, look, we all put everything on our phones nowadays.
Yeah.
They have our credit cards, for pity's sake. They have our banking information.
There's been talk of trying to get the phone classified as an extension of your brain, protected under Fifth Amendment.
Right.
So something you can't be compelled to testify against.
Right.
But your phone, that's another problem. They can easily get a subpoena for your phone.
Right.
I got to interject one thing here.
Uh-oh.
When folks call in, I am only here, folks, to take your name and where you're calling from. That's no joke when I play that other commercial about hearing what your call is all about. When you call in, I will take your name and where you're calling from. I don't need to know what you're calling about or anything else. If it's something that you don't want on the air, then I'm sorry. I got to move on to the next caller. I don't mean to be rude, but I don't have the time to run this board and listen to what you want to convey and then have me do it.
And then you just have to say that all again.
Yeah, I'm just
The rest of us,
repeating
yeah.
myself. So
Right.
I don't mean to be rude. Sorry to the person that I wound up hanging up on, but that's just a fact. I'm running a board, running the phones, and trying to be part of the conversation.
Right, and look, some weeks, like last week, we don't get a lot of calls, and there's
Right.
space between calls. That's one thing. Some weeks, and
Like today,
the pace of this show is you people. Some weeks there's a lot
It's
of calls in
jammed
a
today.
row.
It's-
Right,
And you people.
it's you people. All right, back to the phones. Our next caller is Fred from Rochester, New York. What's up, Fred?
Hey, I've called before about the problem with my NPass. So I followed the suggestion. I went to Samsung. I spent 2.5, 3 hours on and off, back and forth. And the only thing they came up with is to factory reset my phone. All my data was already backed up, multiple places. So I reset the phone, but I did not download any of the apps that I had previous because I was
That's a
afraid
good
one of
test.
those had something wrong with it. So I
Right.
put them all in one at a time new. So what I found with NPass, when I got NPass back up, I could not do a manual backup unless I had lock on leave selected. So I would select, make the backup, select the directory and name and whatever.
Right.
And then when I logged back into NPass, because it's logged out, put my user and my password name back in, it would tell me, it's updating or it's backing up, and then I'd get another bubble coming up saying I've successfully backed up. So if I did not log back in, I would still have a 0-byte file. If I did not select, and I just stayed logged in, I did not select log out on leave. If I switch screens, which is I don't like using it, and I haven't used it ever since the day one, because if I go to a location that does not autofill or partially autofills, it might put in the username and not the password, might put in the password and not the username, which is an error between NPass and that site. They don't have all of them quite figured out. Then I have to switch back and forth. So then I'd have to log back in, and I'd switch back again, copy it and paste it, and log back. It just was crazy. So I've never used it ever. But when I reinstalled it, it was automatically selected, and I go, well, my backup is working. And then I went through and made my settings, and first thing I do is I get rid of that because, like I said, I don't like it. And then all of a sudden I'm getting 0-byte backups. So I'm going, wait a minute. The only thing I changed was that one setting. And I went back and did it again, put it back on, and it worked with that.
Yeah, it kind of makes sense that if you're not logged in fully, it can't access your data to back it up.
Right. Or won't because it doesn't know it's you.
Right. So it should say, please log in and not
Right.
back up wrong.
But if I stay logged in, it won't back up.
I don't know. I'll have to do some research on that. I haven't had that issue myself.
I've done it about 50 times.
I believe you. I just don't know why. I don't know if there's a way around it.
And
You were
NPass,
thinking it might be due to the One UI and not the pure Android.
Right. Because I don't have a Samsung phone. I have
Yeah.
a Pixel. So
so
seen that.
Samsung was of no help. Like a toothache, it can tell you that there's something wrong, but doesn't tell you how to fix it.
right.
And NPass has not gotten back to me at all. I sent them screenshots and detailed processes in and out that I followed. So, at any rate, I've been limping along with that, and it's I can live with that. That's not a deal breaker. but I've got 3 things that happen, and I don't know why. And the only thing that I did this morning was I have a Avast mobile security, and I have a Avast cleanup, and as well as the malware Bytes. So I get a notice from Avast that I have apps running in the background. They want to kill the apps, so it drains the battery and it's losing memory and slows the phone down. So I go, yeah, go ahead. Next thing I know, I can't do a backup on NPass any which way.
So the security software may be inadvertently removing something that NPass needs.
Yeah.
Yeah, and not only did it remove that, there's 2 other apps that I cannot see any logical connection between, but it's happening because it's a few things that I use. It may be happening to more things, but those are the things that I use. My email, if I write an email and then at the end or middle, I say, I want to add an attachment, and I add the attachment, everything that I type before adding that attachment disappears.
And if you turn off your security software, does that still happen?
Once it happens, the only thing I can do is a factory reset. So
Okay, but that's not what I asked. Once you reboot the phone, if you turn off your security software, does that happen?
That I can't say for sure because the software has been running for about a week. Everything's been running fine for about a week. And the only thing that I did with that I can remember that's different is that I went ahead and wants to kill those apps. It's got a couple megabytes of memory recovered. My phone doesn't have a huge memory, so I figured, well, that's probably a good thing to do. I did that, and the next thing I know, everything is messed up. So I hear the music.
All right, yeah, listen, you've got some testing to do, right?
I've done that, and I was going to explain that next.
No, okay, look, we've got a full bank of calls. I got to move on. You got some testing to do. We got to go. We'll be back in just a couple of minutes. Dave Enright, Steve Ray, me, Nick, Francesco, and you. 29 minutes after the hour. Soundbites, member-supported Jazz 90.1.
Before you call into our show, please make note of the following rules. 1, turn your radio down. 2, turn your radio down lower. 3, remember, nobody has invented a good-sounding speakerphone yet. Don't use them. 4, make sure you have a point. It makes for a more interesting show. 5, calling does not guarantee you'll get on the air. No whining. 6, if you do get on the air, please do not tell the host what you just told the screener. We don't care. And 7, is that radio turned down yet? We hope this will make for a more enjoyable program, and we thank you for your time.
Online 24 hours a day, 7 days a week at soundbites.org. More with Nick Francesco, Dave Enright, and Steve Ray next on member-supported Jazz 90.1.
NBC News Radio, I'm Brad Siegel. Protests are happening across the country following the release of the graphic video of the encounter with Memphis police that led to the death of a 29-year-old black man. 5 police officers involved in the traffic stop of Tyree Nichols have been fired and charged with second-degree murder, as well as other counts. The father of Tyree Nichols is speaking out following the release of that video.
Because these was monsters that did this to my son. You know, as my wife said, my son weighed 150 pounds. Each one of these officers was over 200. That's 1,000 pounds beating on my son, using him as a piñata.
Rodney Wells spoke on MSNBC shortly after the video was released. A major highway through Wisconsin was shut down for several hours Friday by an 85-vehicle pileup. At least 21 people were injured. Police blame snow, ice, and whiteout conditions. Brad Siegel, NBC News Radio.
Business dispute? Break bread, not heads. This is Sandra Tsinglow with the Lowdown on Science. When you have a disagreement with someone, it can help to hash it out over a meal. But does what you're eating make a difference? Caitlin Woolley from University of Chicago set up the dining table to find out. She had over 100 students role play as either a union leader or a manager. Their goal? Negotiate an hourly wage as quickly as possible. The pair of strangers took turns haggling pay rates over snacks. The fewer number of turns it took to compromise, the more successful they were. The union leader and manager were served either similar or different types of food. Salty versus sweet, for example. How did negotiations go? Those noshing on similar snackage found agreement almost twice as fast as those eating different food. Why? Willie believes that sharing similar food preferences promotes trust between strangers. It helps build rapport for better cooperation, all without people realizing it. So next time, just say, "I'll have what she's having." But the question remains, who's getting the check?
The Lowdown on Science is produced by LDOS Media Lab in partnership with the University of California Irvine Science Communication and 89.3 KPCC, and made possible with the generous support of the Fuse Family Foundation.
The Jazz 90.1 Daily Club Calendar is brought to you in part by our members and by jazzrochester.com.
Grace Athena High School Music Theater is proud to present Anastasia, a new Broadway musical. Performances take place on February 3rd, 4th, 5th, 10th, 11th, and 12th at the Greece Central Performing Arts Center. Tickets are available online at showtixforyou.com or at the door. For more information, you may visit greececsd.org.
I'm not a numbers person. I couldn't do math the old way. Now there's a new way? Have you ever thought like this when it comes to your kid in math? You're not alone. With kids more than half a grade level behind in math because of COVID, now is a time parents need to jump in and be part of the equation. And you don't need to be a math whiz to help. Visit bepartoftheequation.org to check whether your kid is on track with math. Find tips, videos, and more at bepartoftheequation.org today.
The Age of Reason took place over 200 years ago. Truth, reason, and tolerance thrived and even shaped the U.S. Constitution. Now those building blocks of democracy are under attack. Big tech social media billionaires allow disinformation and hate to hurt our children, polarize us, and cause violence and terror in our communities. Online lies and hate affect everything, everyone, everywhere. Be a part of the change. Help defend our democracy. Go to counterhate.com to learn more.
Here's the latest Jazz 90.1 weather forecast.
Cloudy most of the day today. There'll be a few scattered flurries, even a sprinkle this afternoon, when there could also be a break of sun, the high 35. It'll be rather cloudy tonight. Light snow will arrive overnight and then continue tomorrow, mixed with a little rain at times. The low tonight, 28, and the high temperature tomorrow at 38. Looking ahead to Monday, it'll be brisk and colder, rather cloudy, with a touch of some light snow or snow flurries. The Monday high temperature at 28. This is meteorologist Kevin Williams on Jazz 90.1.
And currently right now we've got mostly cloudy skies, 35 degrees out at the airport, and 38 here at member-supported Jazz 90.1.
Hi, this is Al Malutis. Join Ray Seraphin and me on the Polka Bandstand Show every Saturday morning from 10 a.m. to 12 noon on member-supported Jazz 90.1.
Welcome back, everybody. I'm Nick Francesco.
I'm Dave Enright.
And I'm Steve Ray.
And at 35 minutes after the hour, we are Soundbites, and there it is. And we have Rich from East Arundecoit, New York, on the line. What's up, Rich?
Hello, and happy Saturday, and welcome to winter.
Thank you. Summer's almost over. Get used to it.
Yeah, that's for
Actually,
sure.
today's been a little warmer, hasn't it? Than
It
the rest
has.
of the week. Yeah, no snow. Didn't have to shovel this morning.
Went up to above freezing this morning.
My brother always describes Rochester summer as 3 days of bad ice fishing.
Yeah, he's about right, too. So what's up, Rich?
Couple of quick questions, I hope. When plugging in a thumb drive or a portable drive or anything like that in my Windows 10 machine, it shows several drives, like E through Z or something to that respect. When I plug in a drive, and then if I go to the last one, that's where it shows my files.
Okay. Where did you get this drive?
Actually, it's one of yours from the Fun Drive there. And I also have a portable drive that I've purchased. I've had it for 10 years, I guess, whatever. But I plug that in, and it also does the same thing. It's not just one drive that does it.
Interesting.
I'm seeing other reports of the same problem. OneDrive showing up as multiple letters.
Yes.
How to unpopulate drive letters. Microsoft answer.
Nice.
Unpopulate drive, so you have to know what to search for.
Right. So Steve's going to post that link.
Great.
And that might help.
It basically says to go into disk management and see how many disks it actually detects.
Right, because that may be different. It might be that the drive is partitioned, but I don't think that's true of the ones we give out.
No, and I did not partition it myself or anything like that.
So it sounds like it's this bug that Steve is going to post a note about.
Okay, great. I'll look into that. My second question real quick, and I don't know if you can help me with this or not, but when checking for updates on Windows 10, it seems like my machine takes forever to try to find an update if there is one. And then if there is one, takes forever to download it and install it. It could take up to a whole day to do that.
Yeah.
Now, I have also not just done my machine over Wi-Fi. I've gone, we'll say, upstairs and plugged it in right into my modem and everything else so that it's a direct connection and everything, and still the same thing happens.
Yep.
Is there something I'm doing wrong or setting wrong or something?
Well, according to Microsoft, the thing you're doing wrong is still using Windows 10. They're, how do I put this politely, lowering the priority on their website for updates to Windows 10 because they want you on Windows 11.
So even for using their antivirus software and stuff?
And any Windows 10 thing.
Anything.
In addition, it also depends on the size of that particular update. Most of them are huge. How much free space you have on your hard drive, and how fast that hard drive is. So, for example, if your hard drive is a 5400 RPM spinning drive, those downloads can take forever. If it's an SSD, they might be faster, particularly in the installation part.
So, and so if it's something like
the alone and let it sit and do nothing.
Yeah, unfortunately, that's the answer.
Yeah, the smaller updates, might be a few hundred gig.
No,
meg. But then
you have Enright syndrome.
Yeah. Then you try to download,
It's not the finger you meant to put.
Yeah, 22H2.
Right.
That might
Right.
be 22H2 might be 5, 6, 8 gigs because it's the major feature update rather than just the bug fix update. We run into that in the Mac side. The full Ventura installer is 13 gigabytes.
Yeah.
And even on our super high-speed internet, it takes forever to download. So I can't imagine Apple doesn't have a really big pipe at their end.
Well, sure, they'll have, terabyte pipes. I get that, but...
or what CDN is it coming from near me?
Right,
Because it still takes half an hour to download.
Yeah, sure it would.
So what you're saying is there's really nothing I can check or look through just to see if it's throttling me down somehow.
There are some things that you can do. For example, make sure go into your program manager and make sure everything else is shut down.
Okay.
You might. What antivirus program are you running?
Well, I'm using the Windows antivirus.
Theoretically, that's not causing a problem, but you might try the next big download turning that off.
Okay.
If you're absolutely certain the update is coming from Windows, then turn off the antivirus and see if it doesn't speed it up because it's now not checking every byte that comes in.
Have you ever messed with your MTU frame size?
Oh,
And I have no idea even what that is.
Okay, good. That's actually good that you don't.
Some of the stuff you download from the internet comes in small pieces, and some of the stuff you download comes in huge pieces. So you can optimize it for small, and then the huge ones take longer. Or you can optimize it for huge, and then the small ones take longer. So it's normally set to a middle-of-the-road 1500, whatever the unit is.
Right.
So that small ones take time and the big ones take time, but neither of them will be excessively large.
Right.
But there was a thing for a while where people were turning on jumbo frames to make very large downloads faster, which made websites slower because most websites are a whole bunch of little tiny downloads.
Right.
Yeah, I had no idea what that is or even to play with it.
Good. Then in that case, the only thing that we can really suggest is make sure you have plenty of free space on your hard drive, and make sure that you've closed off every other program. It is actually shut down, not just running in the background, but actually shut down.
Is that going through like the task manager and
Yeah.
turning everything off?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, everything that isn't necessary to run Windows, right? So
Yeah, I guess-
many times,
do I know
for
that or
example, when you boot up, a bunch of stuff opens up in the background. Microsoft is notorious for doing that with Office because it makes it marginally faster to boot when you actually go to run it. But it means that it's running in the background and taking up both compute cycles and memory.
MS Config, the system configuration tool, has an option that will load minimum devices.
Right.
And you can turn that on. So it's more devices than safe mode, which turns off everything except the core features. But it will also let you go through and turn off things that you don't need right now or want to test to turn things off.
Right.
Okay, I'll look into that also.
And those things may help. But again, you've got the problem of, it all really comes down to how fast the various pieces of your machine are.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I mean, if you've got, like I said, if you've got a slow spinning drive, not a great deal of RAM, a slow processor, those things all add up.
Yeah, it's a little bit of an older machine, but I don't know. It just seems like the problem's been more recent than it has in the past.
And that makes sense because Microsoft has been doing bigger updates as they find more problems.
Mm-hmm.
You can go to the Microsoft Download Center and manually download the updates.
Right.
But then you have to know which ones you need.
Right.
Right. Well, I also have been using the Chrome Flex also on this machine and loading that first, and that seems to be running great. I don't have very many problems, if any at all, with that.
Nice.
It's just the other side, on the Windows side of everything.
Right. Well, yeah, because they're two entirely different operating systems, and they don't interact at all.
Mm-hmm. All right, well, thank you very much for all the information. I will look for that posting with Steve on the website, and you guys have a great rest of the weekend, and enjoy your week.
You too, Rich. Thanks.
Bye-bye.
We're seeing a lot of people putting Chrome OS Flex on old machines and essentially revivifying them. Chrome OS Flex is basically a Chromebook.
I don't know. Sometimes when I'm vivified, I don't need to be revivified.
Well, that's true. Maybe revitalized would be a better term. You find that a machine that's a little too slow to run the newer versions of Windows and bogs down all the time, when you run a much lighter operating system like Flex, Chrome OS Flex, which is basically a Chromebook, turns it into a Chromebook, it's super fast. I don't know where this is.
Pavilion.
Oh, Pavilion. Okay. All right, back to the phones. Our next caller is Brian from Pavilion, New York. What's up, Brian?
Gentlemen.
Who walked in?
Greetings from the gateway to New York's wonderful southern tier.
Nice, great.
Yeah, but anyway, you were talking about Chromebooks. I have a tale of woe that I'd like to share with the folks.
Sure.
If I could. I've had several of them, probably 4 or 5. My last one just started acting up, so I went and replaced it. It was an older one. I went to a big box store and got one, and it was kind of touchy, didn't work very well. So I ended up taking it back, getting another one, the replacement for it. This one didn't work well either. So I ended up just going to a different store and a different manufacturer, and it's back to normal. So what I like to tell everybody, keep in mind that not all Chromebooks, regardless of price, are created equal.
Yeah, that's absolutely true.
Especially when you go for the cheapest one and then try to run Call of Duty on it.
Right. Well, but even as a Chromebook, you can get some real bargain basement stuff that just isn't going to be fast. You know, it's like you can buy one of those $15 burner phones, and it's not going to work quite as well as a iPhone 14 Pro. $1,000.
Yeah.
You know, so you know that. Yeah, I get it. And you're right. People don't think about that. They think a Chromebook is a Chromebook is a Chromebook. But just like go ahead.
I'm sorry. Yeah, and the specifications too on them. You pay attention to that. You can get some bang for the buck for the price. But actually, the one that I got, I won't tell you where I got it. But the one that I got that I was very successful with, the actual build quality was better.
Yep.
It worked better, and it also didn't come with a bunch of freebies that were already pre-downloaded on it. I got rid of those. However, the one I did, my replacement one I got, the one that works very well, does have some stuff on it. It's got some cruft on it.
Right.
And I was one of the things I'd like to find out if you guys know of any way to kind of crack that security and get some of the junk off there, because I'm assuming that it's some marginal spyware. I mean, I'm sure it's not spyware, but it's probably data mining.
Right. Well, in general, any less expensive laptop carries the risk that one of the reasons it's less expensive is that someone has paid the manufacturer to add their software to that machine.
Which is obvious. And I don't mind that so much. Right. But there's one app on there I'm not real thrilled with.
Well, you theoretically should be able to uninstall it.
Only sometimes.
Well, in a Chromebook, you should be able to uninstall
that's
it.
true.
Yeah, Chromebook.
Unless they put a management
I don't know what you're banging your phone against, but it's a little distracting.
I'm sorry, I'm outside.
Okay.
My bad.
But you should be able to uninstall anything you don't like unless they put it in ROM, and if they put it in ROM, you're stuck with it.
Yeah, you're SOL.
And that's true of Windows and Chromebooks, and Macs don't seem to have that problem, but Windows and Chromebooks machines might. And there's there's nothing I know of that will remove something like that from ROM.
Could be an MDM profile.
Could be.
It never hurts to ask, you know.
Right.
But yeah, I'm sorry about the noise back here. We have to hang outside. I live in Green Acres, so I'm actually up on a pole.
Green Acres is the place to be.
In Pavilion, that's it.
Living is the life. Sorry.
I've got a coat hanger. I have to hang on to one hand and then kind of point it towards a little piece of tinfoil on it, and you know how it goes.
What you're supposed to do is attach a really long wire to a sheep and shoot and send it running.
I have chickens.
There you go.
Get them flying.
No sheep, just chickens. I mean, I could tie a wire to one of those and scare it.
There you go. But yeah, I would suggest if you cannot look, the simple fact is if you cannot uninstall them, you're stuck with them if they're in ROM. But generally speaking, on a Chromebook, you should be able to uninstall them pretty easily.
Okay, because I looked into that, and it just gave me no options whatsoever. There's not even a button for uninstall, and it's not a very big app, but it's doing something back there.
Any Chromebook, you can uninstall anything pretty easily, actually.
But not in the program. You have to go into the settings.
Right. Yeah, I'll dig around a little bit more on it, but I figured I'd call the experts. Especially since one of my favorite stories you told of all time is when you bought a Chromebook and you were putting it next to your chair and turning it off by accident and returning it and being it's nice to know that even the experts
can be idiots. Yes, yes. I'll say it first. Yes,
I'll stop short of idiots.
Yeah, thank you. But all you have to do is open the launcher, which is that little round button on the lower left, which you pop that up and you see all the things. Right-click on the app you want to remove, and you should get a drop-down menu, one of the choices, which is either uninstall or remove from Chrome.
That's right. Well, we'll see what happens. But again, the initial point of the call is, do a little shopping on that. You know, don't just go on price, because actually the Chromebook I got that's better than the original 2 I got, which I hated. Well, I shouldn't say hated. I don't hate anything, but which I disliked a lot.
Right.
It was actually $40 cheaper, and it's a better quality machine, and it has better specs and everything. And it has a little bit of cruft on it, like I said. But I'll get in there and dig around in there and see if I can't get rid of that, too. So
Perfect.
All right. Well, you guys are the class of the league, and thank you very much.
Thank you, Brian. Have a terrific weekend. Bye-bye. Yeah, he's absolutely right. You know, you can often look. About 90% of the computers I have are refurbished, and so far, knock on wood, all of them have been fine.
I hear interesting explanations on both sides. So I personally don't recommend refurbished because that means they were returned for some reason.
Right.
Were they returned because the customer just didn't want it, or did they have problems with it and return it?
Could have issues.
Right. But if they had problems with it, this is the other side, other argument. The company went through, replaced any broken components, and now it's better than new because it didn't just come off the factory line. It's been tested, that individual unit. So maybe it's better than a new machine.
So far, this one is, 7 years old, and it was refurbished to begin with. It runs every day. I'm thinking seriously about buying another one just because this is 7 years old.
Yeah.
But we'll see. All right, back to the phones. Our next caller is Mark from Greece, New York. Hi, Mark. What's up?
Hello, guys. How are you?
Peachy, how are you?
I'm good. You gentleman that said he puts in his flash drive and gets multiple drives.
Yeah.
If I plug in a flash drive to my printer or a memory card, it activates all the multi-memory card drives in the printer. They show up.
Oh, so the SD, the MMC, the XD,
Yep.
Yeah.
So
that's true.
If he's plugging it into there, that may be his problem. If he's not, then it's probably the other thing that Microsoft has. But I find that mine all of a sudden shows up every drive in there for the multi-drive slot.
Right. I've also discovered that if it's a drive I got from somewhere or someone, it may have been formatted by them in some way. Like, for example, I had a couple of drives that I bought directly from Amazon, but they came with software for a printer because they were made by it might have been Epson, but it was the same manufacturer of a printer, and so they came with that printer software on a separate partition.
Yeah.
So it may just be that that's the one they send out with the printer, and they had a bunch of extras and got rid of them.
Yeah.
So yeah, I can see that even if you just buy it clean off of some website, you may be getting something that was originally designed for something else. Yeah, I get that.
Yeah. Another thing I wanted to mention is I know how Dave hates the start menu in 10, and I don't think the start menu in 11 is any better, actually.
It's worse. It's in the center, and you can't move it now, right?
Right.
Yeah. Well, I got mine moved over.
Well, that's third-party tools, so it'll let you do it.
Right.
I went into set. I did it on my son's new one that we ordered for him, and it moved. It moved to the left.
Nice.
Yeah. Anyways, there's a program that I can highly recommend called Start Menu X, and I'm loving it. It brings back. It's similar to 7, but not quite as cartoony looking, I would say.
Right.
Do you know what I mean?
Right.
The program works well. They have a free and a pay version. There's not many more perks to the pay version.
But sometimes it's just nice to give the guy some money.
Exactly.
Well, the person, I shouldn't be sexist.
Right. Exactly. So I would highly suggest this to anybody who hates those tiles in 10 or hates the simplicity of the new one in 11.
And this also works with Windows 7, it says.
Yep.
32-bit and 64-bit, so that's...
Nice.
And it looks like it's in a dozen languages, too. This is a pretty slick program.
It automatically figures out if you're 64 or 32 and installs it.
The company name is Ordinary Soft.
Ordinary stuff. I like it. Well, it clearly sounds like somebody's done a nice job there, and it certainly doesn't hurt to throw them a few bucks.
Yeah, and it's not very expensive.
Right.
So it's well worth it. I just thought I'd throw that out there for you.
Good one, Mark. Thanks.
Yep, you got it.
Thanks. Have fun.
You too. Bye.
Bye. Yeah, I should just remind everybody that we do like to ask people, remind people that it is a good thing to throw a few bucks at the programmers of shareware, or whatever they're calling it these days, because it encourages them, particularly in these parlous economic times, it encourages them to keep that software running. We've all seen instances where we love a piece of software and it suddenly disappears because it's just not economically feasible for a person to spend all their lives doing something for free. It just is the way of the world. You know, people got to make a living. People got to feed their families. So,
and you're helping support keeping that software going. It's just like the one that we started out originally, which was freeware for the longest time, was Revo Uninstaller.
Right.
Well, now they've gone to, they still offer the free version. You can get that free. But they give you incentive that if you get the paid version, it comes with a lot more features.
Right.
And they just added another one where if you don't want to buy a subscription for each computer, they offer this, what they call the portable. You download it to a thumb drive, and you can put that thumb drive in any of your computers and clean them up.
Right. Right. The thing is, we're so used to free now.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you get a bunch of free stuff from Google Drive. You get a free bunch of stuff from Apple iCloud. Cloud. And
there's too many of them.
Yeah, there's too many of them. Why is this not working? All right, that music tells us that you have wasted an entire hour of your life. I'm finding it hard to believe we spent an hour at this already. But don't go too far. We will be back for a whole nother hour of the longest running computer show in the known universe. That would be Soundbites with Dave Enright, with Steve Ray, with me, Nick Francesco, and with you. It is 59 minutes after the hour. You're listening to Soundbites right here on member-supported Jazz 90.1. Take a quick bio break, but come on back for a whole nother hour of this nonsense. And don't forget, we're on Twitch, and we're on YouTube, and we're on streaming, and we're here live, and we're on Facebook, and it's hard to avoid us. We'll be chasing you down the highway to jump into your car in a couple minutes. See you shortly.
It's America's longest-running computer show. Back to more Soundbites with Nick, Dave, and Steve next on member-supported Jazz 90.1.
WGMC Greece Rochester, a public service of the Greece Central School District, Jazz 90.1.
On Instagram at WGMC Jazz 901.
NBC News Radio, I'm Julie Ryan. Protests are happening across the country following the release of the graphic video of the encounter with Memphis police that led to the death of a 29-year-old black man. 5 police officers involved in the traffic stop of Tyree Nichols have been fired and charged with second-degree murder and aggravated assault, among other criminal counts. At least 3 people were arrested in New York City last night when a group of about 200 protesters blocked traffic in Times Square, chanting "No justice, no peace." President Biden is offering his condolences to the family of Tyree Nichols. The White House says the president spoke to family members in a phone call and commended them for showing strength and courage. Former President Trump is hitting the campaign trail. Trump will deliver the keynote address to Republican Party leaders, state authorities, and fans attending today's annual meeting of New Hampshire Republicans in the town of Salem. Julie Ryan, NBC News Radio.
Jazz 90.1 and Greece Baptist Church are again pleased to present free community jazz and big band concerts. For a complete list of all performances, visit our website at jazz901.org.
The newly renovated Jazz 90.1 gift shop is open with new and familiar items for you to enjoy and to show for your favorite community jazz station. The shop is easy to find and easy to use. You can purchase Jazz 90.1 baseball caps, coffee mugs, shopping bags, t-shirts, and more. Browse the new Jazz 90.1 gift shop at jazz901.org and click on Support Jazz 90.1.
Here's another I Love New York travel tip.
Pamper yourself or someone you love with a getaway to one of New York's many spas. Experience the refreshing luxury of a mineral bath at the renowned Lincoln Mineral Baths and Spa at the Roosevelt Baths and Spa in Saratoga Springs. In the Adirondacks, Lake Placid's Mirror Lake Inn Resort and Spa offers a variety of treatments including body scrubs, facials, and mani-pedis. In Monticello, experience natural holistic treatments for health and wellness like Ayurvedic hot oil massages, acupuncture, and yoga at Yo One Wellness Center, one of the most highly rated resorts and spas in the Catskills. In the Finger Lakes, the Woodcliff Hotel offers everything from golf to shopping, as well as spa treatments to die for, with several all-day treatments including men's and mother-daughter options. For more information on spas in New York State, visit the I Love New York website at iloveny.com. New York State, come be a part of it.
For many servicemen and women, the battle doesn't end when they come home. And I know, because I too struggle with the invisible wounds of service. Pups for Patriots and Sam literally changed my life. If you're a veteran or know a veteran struggling with post-traumatic stress or a traumatic brain injury, go to AmericanHumane.org to learn more about the Pups for Patriots Service Dog Program. Let's give our veterans a fighting chance.
A message from American Humane.
After serving in the military, life can seem like an endless loop. But the cycle can be broken. You're not alone. Visit MakeTheConnection.net to learn more.
What is dedication?
My biggest fear in the middle of my addiction was that my kids wouldn't have a father. And I started thinking, you know what? This isn't my story. I definitely had to become a better man to be a better father. It's important to me that my kids are empowered and truly believe that if they can think it, they can do it.
That's dedication. Visit fatherhood.gov to hear more. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
Welcome back to America's longest-running computer show, Soundbites, on member-supported Jazz 90.1. Get online now. Call 966-JAZZ. That's 966-5299. Toll-free 800-790-0415. Or submit your question by email at soundbites.org. Once again, here's Nick Francesco, Dave Enright, and Steve Ray on member-supported Jazz 90.1.
Welcome back, everybody. I'm Nick Francesco.
I'm Dave Enright.
And I'm Steve Ray.
And at 5 minutes after the hour, we are hurtling headlong into the second hour of the longest-running computer show in the known universe, Sound Bites, right here on member-supported Jazz 90.1. Dennis Worcester says I'm overmodulated. That's my life, Dennis. That's.
I thought I fixed that.
Personally, in my real world, I'm overmodulated.
I think Rob changed all the settings back to default.
It's very possible.
And it messed me up.
All right, back to the phones. Our next caller is Sherry from Rochester, New York. Hi, Sherry. What's up?
Hi. I got two questions I know you'll have a quick answer for.
But no pressure.
Okay. I have a 6-year-old HP Pavilion laptop, and I've been having problems with the battery. I know they don't last forever.
That's a quick one. Get rid of it. Next question.
Oh, because it's 6 years old?
No, go ahead.
Okay, well, I always thought that even if the battery died or whatever, it will still work okay plugged in. Is that correct?
It depends. Mm-hmm. Some of them will not boot without the battery in and working because the power to the device goes through the battery.
Oh, so if the battery dies but it's still plugged in, it's a possibility it may not work?
It is a possibility, yes.
We've also seen issues where, say it has a 45-watt charger. 45 watts is enough to run it or charge it.
But not both.
Yep. But if you get a 60-watt charger, that might work.
So if you unplug the battery and then plug it in directly, it doesn't work?
It kind of works. It'll start out like, oh, you're at 7%. Oh, your battery's low. You better plug it in. I plug it in, and it really isn't charging, because I can see from the battery meter it's not going up. So And then one time it kind of like booted me out of the screen and everything. I'm having all kinds of issues.
That could be just the battery health. It can't charge anymore.
Right. It's just a dead bat. 6-year-old
You
laptop.
can get replacements.
You should be able to get a replacement for an HP Pavilion.
Battery Biz used to be around. It was a company called Battery Biz, and they would sell. I don't know if they're still around,
Because
but
Batteries and Bulbs was local too,
But there was.
and Batteries Plus.
Yeah.
Oh, they're closed down
Are
here.
they closed now?
Yeah. No, but
you can order
I
replacements.
can't replace the battery because it's all enclosed. The machine, it's all closed up. I can't open it.
You can't get underneath the. This is a laptop, right?
Yes.
Yeah, on the bottom part, there's not a battery that pops out.
No.
A lot of them are now. You have to unscrew the whole bottom panel, pull the bottom panel off to get to the battery.
Pain in
Yeah,
the
I think in
butt.
this one you have to pull the feet off.
Yeah.
And the screws are
What-
underneath that.
What model Pavilion was it?
I'm not sure. It's kind of hard getting that info.
Yeah. If you Google replace Pavilion model number battery, then
Yeah, I did.
and if it looks daunting, then you might have to bring
Yeah.
it to a shop.
Yeah, well, I plan on not using it anymore anyway. After I, get the battery, get whatever I want off of it. But I just wanted to know that about the battery. So,
Yeah.
okay, so thanks for that. So my next question is about the Chromebook screen size. I've been trying to find a Chromebook with the largest screen I could get, but the only thing I've been able to find is like 15-inch. Do they make them bigger than that?
Yes, I have a 17-inch.
Oh, really? Well,
Yeah.
I haven't been able to find one. I mean, I've been searching on the internet, So they're out there then, right?
Oh, they absolutely are. Yeah.
Plus, you can
who made
also
mine?
just hook
Acer.
it.
Acer made mine.
You can also hook it up to a TV.
That's true.
Or a bigger monitor. If you want a bigger monitor, you can just, hook through the HDMI, plug it into a TV, or get a bigger monitor.
Acer and Asus both make 17-inch monitors. So does Lenovo. So does HP, I think. I know Lenovo does. Your best bet is to just Google Chromebook 17-inch laptop.
Okay.
The first 1, 2, 3, 4 links were all. Oh no, the first 2 links are Amazon. The next one's Walmart, Best Buy.
Okay, do you think it's necessary to have a large amount of RAM on the Chromebook?
Generally, well, it depends entirely on what you do, but generally not. What most people do when they're using a Chromebook is they're also using Google's Drive applications, Google Docs, Google Sheets, etc. And those are all stored in the cloud, so you don't need storage on your machine. What I got with mine was 8 gig of RAM and 64 gig of hard drive. And that was specifically because at the time I was making a lot of trips across the country, and when I was on a plane, I wanted to watch a movie that I could download to my device.
Right.
But generally speaking, I almost never use that amount of, I use a minimal amount of disk space and RAM. So generally speaking, again, it depends on your use case, but generally speaking, 4 gig of RAM and a 32 gig drive should be fine.
Okay, I'll do that. Yeah, that's why I'm done with this HP laptop. I'm not buying any more Windows. I'm done because I'm sick of it. So
I understand. Believe me.
Yeah.
Believe me, I get it.
Preaching to the choir here.
Right. But before you go buy a Chromebook, think about your use case, right? If mostly what you do is surf the web, write some stuff that you could do on Google Drive, maybe listen to streaming music or stream movies, that sort of thing, then a Chromebook is ideal for you.
Open the Chrome browser on your PC and run only that for a while. Don't run any other apps.
Right.
Yeah,
because
I'm
you can
familiar.
run everything in the browser.
Right, I'm familiar with all that. Plus, I have a desktop,
Right.
I use. So I'm not, I'm okay with all that. It's just, this laptop, because the desktop is upstairs, the laptop is downstairs that I use all the time,
Right.
But, yeah, I'm getting a Chromebook. I can't deal with this anymore, so.
Welcome to the light side,
Yeah, I don't know what I'm going to do about the desktop upstairs when I can't use the Windows anymore, but I'll probably just unplug it like Dave does.
Well, you can install Chrome on the desktop.
You can, Chrome OS Flex.
Yeah, you can just unhook it from the internet and still use it. I mean,
Right.
it'll still work.
Right, that's my plan, you know, to do that.
Right.
Just unplug it.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Well, by then you'll know how well a Chromebook works for you, and you'll have more options available.
Oh, I'm pretty sure I'll be happy with the Chromebook,
Yeah, I think so too.
Transferring stuff off of this laptop before it dies,
That's a separate issue, right? I get that.
Do it now.
Right, that's what I'm trying to do. That's why I need help with the battery.
Right. Get yourself a couple of good thumb drives, good sized thumb drives, and
Worst case scenario, though, if that laptop happens to die on you because of the battery,
Right.
you can always have the hard drive taken out of there,
Right.
put it in an enclosure, and then you'll be able to hook that up to your Chromebook, still access it
or
to
your
get,
desktop.
Yeah,
or the
that's a good
desktop
idea.
to get access to those documents or photos or anything else, and back them up somewhere on the cloud.
Yeah, I've done that before with a laptop and with a desktop, so.
It can be an extra storage thing for
Right.
you. Once you get rid of that laptop because it's dying, pull the hard drive out and use it as an extra storage device.
Yep.
Right, I just don't know how I can get into it, Well, there are a lot of screws.
Oh,
I
yeah,
could
but
probably-
no, usually if you flip a laptop over, it'll tell you, oh, this panel here, you take this off, you get at the memory. Or you take this panel off here and you get at the hard drive.
And if it doesn't have panels, you'll be able to. Again, once the machine is dead, you don't care what happens to it, right? So you pry off the feet, and generally under the feet, if it's a single flat back with no openings, generally under the feet are the screws to pull the whole back off.
Tell you what, if it dies and you want to get the hard drive out, you call the show here and I'll help you out.
Yeah, I've done it before, and I just flipped it over. I do see the screws on the back.
There you go.
So I can do it, I guess.
And HP is pretty good about having visual instructions on how to
YouTube
do it.
videos.
I would absolutely figure out which model you have, and then search for YouTube videos about how to take apart that particular model, and then watch that YouTube video 3 or 4 times before you start cracking.
They'll
open
walk
the
you
bag.
right through how to take it out, change a hard drive or memory or anything else.
And you have to make sure it's the right model you search for, because even among the HPs, there'll be slight differences between the Pavilion 2300 and the Pavilion 2400.
Yep.
Right. Well, I have the HP health check thing on there, and you can go right into HP and it tells you what model and everything you have.
Perfect. Do that.
There you
do
go.
that. Absolutely.
I just wish I could get a battery for it. That's all.
Well,
Once you
can
get the model number, you probably can, if not from
Yeah.
HP or from a third party.
Yeah, like like I say, battery biz or that. You do a Google search on replacement batteries
for that specific model.
Yeah, well, you go to that website, and usually at that website they'll say, okay, what type of battery are you looking for? And you got to put in the model number, and sometimes they'll even ask, depending on laptops, the version, because they could have, HP, latitude, and then some other subtype.
1500, 1520.
Yeah.
You're right.
Even though it's 6 years old.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, the battery. Well, that's the thing. Search for it. It is quite likely that they're making a battery for it still.
Or if not HP, then a third party company would be.
Okay. Yeah.
Right. And then again, search for battery replacement of that particular model on YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
Watch that video 3 or 4 times.
Yep.
Right.
And then crack it open. You sound like you're more than willing to pick up a screwdriver. God bless you for that. Go for it.
Done it before, so.
Nick breaks out in sweats.
I do.
I've seen it.
Yeah, I can understand that because you want to be grounded. That's the thing I worry about. Am I grounded enough?
Right.
All right. Well, thank you so much, gentlemen.
Thank you, Sherry. Good luck. Let us know how that works out for you.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. Bye-bye.
Bye.
I got to take a new iMac 24-inch apart next week when the new logic board comes in for it.
Oh, boy.
It's glued on all four sides. So that's the other problem we're starting to see. All of Apple's batteries are now, they're slowly moving away from. The batteries are glued into the computer. And that helps with the structural integrity field.
Right.
And they don't need a lot of the internal bracings and supports that there used to be inside laptops, which make them thinner and lighter. But it does make them almost impossible to replace.
Right.
So...
And Apple doesn't care about that.
Well, on later models, more current models, they have started putting in removable battery glue strips. So the batteries, so they're still not user replaceable, but they've made it much easier for service departments to be able to replace batteries alone. Because it used to be the whole top case assembly, which is handy. You need a new keyboard, you get a fresh battery.
Right.
You need a new battery, you get a fresh keyboard. You know?
Right. All right, back to the phones. Our next caller is Gerald from Rochester, New York. What's up, Gerald?
Hi, good afternoon.
Hi.
Quick question. I switched over from an older computer to an HP all-in-one, did all my transfers, and my issue is I'm a big picture taker. I got about 50,000 pictures. I'm an enthusiastic amateur. There's somehow, I don't know how I got there, but there's a copy of every one picture under the actual picture. Copy, all the way down. And I have an outboard hard drive where the picture file's fine. So my question is there a nice right-click way of getting rid of the copies? Or, failing that, can I safely eliminate the file in the C drive and then transfer over file on my hard drive over to the C drive?
Either. You want to be very careful because pictures, if you screw that up and lose them, you're done.
Yeah, there are several programs that claim to be able to find duplicates and remove them. They've gotten a lot better over the years, but if you take like 3 pictures in a row, those aren't the same picture.
Right.
Correct.
Even though they look almost identically the same, the timestamp will be different on them, for example. So having the computer tell what is different or what's the same is now coming down to what we're calling machine learning and neural engines to figure out if the picture's the same or not. So it's not just the file size, date, and time and things.
Are these...
so you're talking about like when you bracket shots.
Right.
Yeah.
Are these files named like picture of Joe, copy 1, copy 2, copy 3?
Pretty organized, and I've got files. I've got files for family. I've got files for Europe. Whatever.
Yeah, but you've got copies of everything. Do they say the word copy in the file name?
Or they got usually a number in parentheses.
Right.
Well, let's see.
Yeah.
My point is, if they do... Okay, go ahead.
I'm kind of stumped because I just went to the file and I don't see the copies anymore. Some Deus Ex Machina here. I don't know what happened. It looks good right now.
Okay, well, you're welcome.
So maybe it was a display bug, or it was displaying the same thing twice.
Yeah.
It wasn't actually a second copy.
Okay. Well, that might be.
There you go.
I think I'm good to go for now. Thank you very much.
All right, you're welcome. Another problem solved by the crack team at Soundbites.
Ta-da!
Go look again. Thank you very much. Next caller. So I got to be honest. Sometimes that's what works. Go look again. We see that irregularly, but we see it. It does happen, and so we're glad. So. Yeah, I have to say, I got to tell a little story on Dave. As you know, I've said this a number of times. I've been taking in old laptops, putting Chrome OS Flex on them, and then moving them on to refugee families. I don't have any refugee families at the moment to pass them to, so I'm not taking any more in. But Dave gave me one. Lovely computer, a ThinkPad. It was just gorgeous. And I got the operating system on it, and got it all set up and ready to go, and
Well, like I say,
rebooted it one more time, and all of a sudden it said fan error and shut down, and has not booted since. Apparently the fan froze, and that model won't run if the fan's not running.
Okay, because like
So you got rid of it just in time.
timing's everything. But
Well,
like I
because
said,
if you didn't have a backup, and that's my point to you people, if he didn't have a backup or the
Forget
timing was wrong, done. So if you haven't made a backup today, you're behind.
well, see, that's why again I said it. I think it was last week or the week before. A few months ago, I had one of my desktop units die on me, and it was like, okay, no big deal. I'll just order another machine. I made a note. I had a note of what programs I wanted on this thing. Unlike the old days, if it died, it was like, oh, shoot, there goes all my bookmarks, all my photos, all my emails and everything else, and I'm toast. No, I just got the new one, logged into my Google account, all my bookmarks, my contacts, my emails, everything was still there.
Still there. It's not a problem. Absolutely. But yeah, but still, had Dave had a bunch of stuff on his desktop itself, in this case, laptop, documents and stuff like that, he literally replaced it at the last moment. I mean, it booted twice after I got my hands on it.
Well, like I said, I knew something was going on because, like I said, I was plugging this radio into this USB port. And it was working fine. Then all of a sudden it got glitchy and it was losing communications. So I switched USB ports. It was working again for a little bit. And then that port started getting glitchy.
And that was a fairly old computer.
Yeah.
And I get that. I get it.
I had fun with it. It served me well.
It owed you nothing.
No.
So, yeah, I get that. But that's just another. And I don't mind. Dave passed it to me to pass to somebody else, and it died. Oh, well. Better it died with me than after I passed it on.
That's what I was just going to say. Thank God it died then I hate to get somebody else going, and then all of a sudden it die.
Yeah, right. I'm not feeling bad. I'm not upset. Obviously, it's all fine.
I would have felt bad.
Right, and I would have felt bad too. So it's good that it died when it did.
Yep.
But it's a cautionary tale for everybody. If you've got stuff on your hard drive and you haven't backed it up today, that clock is ticking.
Because they don't always give warnings.
Right.
The best way to analogy that I can put to it, folks, they say, well, it's like a light bulb. You don't know when that's going to go out. Because usually it's that one time that you flick the light on, and I'm sure everybody's seen this, it all of a sudden goes real bright, super beyond brightness, and then all of a sudden pops and then dies. It didn't give you a warning 3 other times before when you turned it on. It was just that one time you walked into the room, went to flick it on, it goes super bright and then black.
And now most computers nowadays have smart drives, SMART. I don't remember what that stands for, and I don't care. But they're smart drives, and they do their own diagnostics. So you can run programs that read those diagnostics and tell you the health of your hard drives.
Yep.
When was the last time you ran one of those programs? In addition, the drive is not the only thing that can fail in a computer. You can pop a capacitor. There's a million things. So,
well, like our previous caller, the battery.
Right.
The battery's
the battery
going
dies.
on that, and right now she's saying that it won't run right.
Right. And I get that. So if you, again, if you haven't done a backup today, you're behind.
You're playing Russian roulette.
It's that simple. You pays your money and you takes your chance. And I'm old now, and I've been crotchety for a very long time. See my shirt.
Curmudgeon.
Right, I'm a curmudgeon. But I'm beginning to lose patience with people who say, I meant to make a backup.
Yeah.
I intended to make a backup.
I meant to get your data back, too.
I would have gotten to it tomorrow. Well, that's a lie. We know that's a lie.
You can just recover it for me.
Yeah, right. So make the backup. As Dave was talking about and Steve was talking about, there's places online that give you 15 gig, 5 gig, whatever of storage. But there are also something called thumb drives, and they are ludicrously inexpensive. If you can't pay $10 to back up your data, why are you asking me to do it for you?
And now, I'm going to make a caution here. Don't buy the $100 thumb drive that says photo backup.
Right.
It comes with software to back up your stuff.
Right.
Windows and Mac both have that built in.
Right.
And you just drag your photos onto you don't need to pay 10 times more than you should for that special program.
Right. And yes, thumb drives will die as well.
Yep.
That's why you have multiples. They're cheap enough that you can buy 10 of them and have 10 separate copies of your backup easily, quickly, conveniently.
And the other thing, too, though, in using the thumb drives, especially if you've got them in a laptop, do not. Once you've done the backup, take the thumb drive out. I have seen...
Eject it properly.
I have seen so many folks that will bang the thumb drive or drop something on it and it snaps.
Yep.
And then it's destroyed.
Not only the thumb drive, but the connector in the computer.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Yeah. So, yeah, be very aware of those things. And, again, we say it all the time, you don't have enough backups. That means you don't have enough thumb drives either. Whether you're backing stuff up on a hard drive, like Dave said, you can pull an old hard drive out of a machine and put it in an enclosure and connect it to your USB, or you can do thumb drives, or you've got online storage or another computer in another room. One of my backups is to a large hard drive on a Raspberry Pi, because it doesn't have to be a particularly fast or powerful processor to just do backups.
I got 3 of them.
Yeah, and so you can easily do that. But the thing is, you got to do it. There's no award for I meant to. So go do it. Listen, we're going to take a quick break. If you're on the line, please stay on the line. We'll get to you in a minute. If you're not on the line, why not? Give us a call. 585-966-5299, 1-800-790-0415. We'll be back with Dave Enright, Steve Ray, me, Nick Francesco, and you. It is 29 minutes after the hour. It's Sound Bytes. It's member-supported Jazz 90.1. It's us on the other side.
Computer talk you can understand. More Sound Bites is next on member-supported Jazz 90.1.
NBC News Radio, I'm Julie Ryan. Protests are happening across the country following the release of the graphic video of the encounter with Memphis police that led to the death of a 29-year-old black man. 5 police officers involved in the traffic stop of Tyree Nichols have been fired and charged with second-degree murder and aggravated assault, among other criminal counts. At least 3 people were arrested in New York City last night when a group of about 200 protesters blocked traffic in Times Square, chanting "No justice, no peace." President Biden is offering his condolences to the family of Tyree Nichols. The White House says the president spoke to family members in a phone call and commended them for showing strength and courage. Former President Trump is hitting the campaign trail. Trump will deliver the keynote address to Republican Party leaders, state authorities, and fans attending today's annual meeting of New Hampshire Republicans in the town of Salem. Julie Ryan, NBC News Radio.
Phalaenopsis, also known as moth orchids, provide months of beauty with minimal care. Extend your enjoyment by encouraging a second flush of flowers with cool nights and proper care. Hi, I'm Melinda Myers, horticulturist and gardening expert. Fertilize your moth orchid when it's finished flowering and is actively growing. Use a dilute solution of an orchid or balanced fertilizer like a 20-20-20 according to label directions. You have several options for reblooming your orchid. Leave the flower stem intact and the plant may produce a second flush of smaller blooms at the tip of the stem. Or cut the flower stem back between the second and third node, bumps on the stem, from the bottom. For the best rebloom and to allow the plant to replenish energy spent on flowering, prune the flower stem back to about a half an inch above the leaves and enjoy a second flush of flowers in about a year. Check out our website for this and other gardening tips.
Jazz 90.1 is supported in part by Summit Responsible Solutions, a manufacturer of organic, all-natural insect pest control products, including Summit Sticky Traps. Sticky traps can be used to manage pests on indoor plants and do not contain pesticides. Sticky traps are available at local and national garden centers and hardware stores. Information on how to control insect pests can be found at summitresponsiblesolutions.com.
Jazz 90.1 is supported in part by our members and by the great courses How to Grow Anything DVD series hosted by Melinda Myers. The Great Courses How to Grow Anything series consists of 4 DVD courses that provide gardening tips and information on food gardening, landscape design and care, container gardening, flower, tree, and shrub care, and more. More information is available at melindamyers.com. That's melindamyers.com.
Parents, catching kids being good is at the heart of every parenting strategy you'll find at boystown.org/parenting. We've got parenting guides, articles, videos, quick tips, and even live parent talks on Facebook with Boys Town experts. Visit boystown.org/praise to receive your 10 Ways to Praise magnet. It's a great reminder to catch them being good, and that great parenting advice is just a click away.
Jazz 90.1 weather.
Cloudy most of the day today. There'll be a few scattered flurries, even a sprinkle this afternoon, when there could also be a break of sun, the high 35. It'll be rather cloudy tonight. Light snow will arrive overnight and then continue tomorrow, mixed with a little rain at times. The low tonight, 28, and the high temperature tomorrow at 38. Looking ahead to Monday, it'll be brisk and colder, rather cloudy, with a touch of some light snow or snow flurries. The Monday high temperature at 28. This is meteorologist Kevin Williams on Jazz 90.1.
And currently right now we've got cloudy skies, 36 degrees out at the airport and 38 here at member-supported Jazz 90.1.
Hi, this is Rick Petrie. Please join me Tuesday nights from 9 to midnight for North Star Sounds on member-supported Jazz 90.1.
The music behind that announcement does not accurately represent the music you will hear during North Star Sound. Welcome back, everybody. I'm Nick Francesco.
I'm Dave Enright.
And I'm Steve Ray.
And at, 34 minutes after the hour, I should look, I moved where my clock is.
Uh-huh.
I'm always looking over here and going, nothing there. 34 minutes after the hour, we are Sound Bytes, and we have Bob from Hilton, New York on the line. What's up, Bob?
Hey, guys. How you doing today?
Peachy, how are you?
Good. Speaking of the backups, I have it's a Western Digital Passport. It's 2 terabytes, a little backup job.
Yep.
Okay, so when I do my backups, I checked on that, and I have 1.64 terabytes on it that are being used. But on my main computer, I only have 976 gigabytes.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering, why am I getting more on that than I actually have on my computer?
Sounds like you've got 2 backups.
Or it's an incremental backup. So it backed up everything once. There's 900 gigs. And then it backs up your changes. There's another 50 gigs. And then it backs up your changes and your changes and your changes. And so over time, you get more and more data on the drive because it's backing up changes and keeping the older files around. So there's basically 2 ways to do a backup.
3. Go ahead.
Yeah, no one expects to spend his Inquisition.
Right.
Yeah. So you can basically take a snapshot of the way your drive looks right now, and you'll get the exact same space used on both sides. And then when you change a file, it deletes the old file and puts the changed file in the backup. Or you can do an incremental backup, sometimes called a historical backup or an archive backup, where it keeps all the old versions so that you can go into your backup and see what this file looked like 2 weeks ago, 2 months ago, and get back to the way it was then, not just to the way it was when the backup ran.
Ah, okay. So
and that's a setting in your backup program.
Okay, so it's just a setting in the program then.
Yeah.
So you think I'm doing an incremental backup instead of a snapshot type?
Well, snapshot copies everything all the time. So if you've got a 1 gig drive, you're only going to get 2 of those snapshots on your 2 gig drive. But if you've done what a lot of people do is, and I forget the names because I'm old now, but the one that where you back up everything once, and then you back up everything since the last full backup. That makes it faster to restore because you're only restoring 2 files. The original backup and then that one backup that's everything since then.
Okay.
That takes more space because obviously that second backup is going to be getting bigger and bigger and bigger as you add more stuff.
And that sounds like what I'm doing then.
Yeah.
It does.
And there can be advantages to that because you can see what a file looked like before rather than just what it looked like yesterday.
Right.
Okay.
But it does take up more disk space.
But, and they don't make it easy trying to retrieve the old backups. You have to click like 50 things in order to get to the file you want to see.
There should be a search.
Right.
Well, what backup program are you using?
I'm using the one that came with the Western Digital hard drive.
Yeah, I'm
It's
not
called
familiar with it.
Passport, it's called.
Right.
There should be a search ability to search for the file name that you're looking for.
Well, no, like if I wanted to just check to make sure that it was working, which I do once in a while just to make sure, even though it's plugged in, I want to make sure that it's working, you know. So, you know, if I go to check it, I have to click, you know, users, Bob, and I have to click a million things to get to the most recent backup.
Because that's where your files are.
Right.
That's
I
normal.
mean, I'm doing it, but it just doesn't seem very user-friendly. You have to click so many things to get to, you know, the current backup.
Yeah, no, I get that. But like we said, you know, depending on how you're doing your backup, the important question is, I guess, how much space do you want to take up on your backup drive, and versus how convenient it is to restore. Right? So if you do nothing but full backups, you'll only get 2 of them on a 2 terabyte drive, but they'll be real easy to restore. It's just one file.
Right. Okay.
If you do an incremental backup, those are each individual new file from the last backup.
Okay.
Those are going to be the smallest, but now you got a lot of files to restore.
Right. Okay.
A differential backup is you've got one full and then everything since that last full, which is still a bigger file every time you save one, but when you do a restore, it's only 2 files, the original full backup and the last differential.
That's why Apple's Time Machine works. If you look inside the backup file, it uses not hard links. It uses some weird thing in the file system. So, yeah. Every backup looks like a full backup, but it isn't. It's only the changed files. But your latest backup shows you the most recent copy of every file.
There's also mirroring, which is the fastest, and what it does is it literally mirrors your original hard drive. So if you delete something on the original, it's deleted in the backup.
Okay.
And that's the absolute fastest to restore because it's a mirror of your hard drive.
But then there's no safety that if that was
Yeah,
an accidental deletion or the file got corrupted.
Right.
And that's why a lot of cloud syncing works. It syncs your files to the cloud, so when you delete a file, it's removed from the cloud. It doesn't know whether you accidentally deleted it or you intentionally deleted it.
Yeah.
And even if you did intentionally delete it, you might change your mind and want it back. So that's why an archival or incremental backup is good because you can go back.
And if you pay for Peak Cloud, which is the one I use, you do get a history.
Yep.
So you can go back. I think it's 5. I think 5 it's versioning.
Yeah.
So you get 5 versions back. So, but and I don't remember if that's the exact number. Don't hold me to that. But so it really depends on. It's a trade-off between ease of backup and ease of restore.
Okay.
So most people, the way they do it is they think, what am I going to do more often?
Yeah, so ease of backup is usually preferred.
Right.
In a business setting where if your server goes down, you're dead until it comes back up again, then you'll have several different types of backups, but one of them will be, a real-time mirror.
Right.
So that I switch to this hard drive and everything is exactly the way it was.
Right. Many businesses actually have two identical computers.
Yep.
And one just mirrors the other, and then if the first one goes down, they just take it offline, put the second one online, you're back in business. Done.
And then you hope to fix the first one before the second one dies too. Oh yeah, I've been meaning to tell you. There's 3 dead hard drives on my RAID 5.
Oh yeah. Oops, I've gotten that call.
Yeah.
Okay, well, that's good stuff. And let me just ask you one more quick question here. Can you recommend any good programs for finding duplicate files? Because what happens is when I back up my iPhone on my computer, for some reason I don't delete them off my phone, and I keep getting backups of backups of backups. And I got a lot of duplicate files, but without going through all of them, which would be a real tedious process. Is there any programs you can recommend for finding duplicate files?
Are you talking Windows or Mac?
Windows 10.
There are several. I actually just posted a link for duplicate photo finders.
Yeah, that's what
which is similar as well. But again, the better ones give you a list of things that might be a duplicate, and you confirm. And then there's some that say these are duplicated, I'll delete them, and you got to hope it guessed right.
Ah, okay. Any recommendations?
Oh, golly, you know what? There's a dozen of them. Steve can put up a link to some. There's All Dupe and Duplicate File Detective and Dupe Guru and
CCleaner had a duplicate file finder built into it.
At one point it did. I don't know that it still does. But those are all, there's a bunch of them, and which one is best for you? You got to, how do you use your system? You need to do a little detective work, I'm afraid.
Okay, I will. All right, very good, guys. I appreciate your efforts, and you do a great job every week.
Thank you. Have fun.
Yep, take care now.
Bye-bye. Yeah. It depends on how you... There is CCleaner, I think, does have a duplicate file finder. I'm actually looking that up right now. CCleaner duplicate files. Yep, duplicate finder. CCleaner has that. So if you're using CCleaner, that's a good one to do. And I don't know if that's the paid or free version, I'm afraid, but you'll find out pretty quickly. Back to the phones. Our next caller is Mike from Rochester, New York. Hi, Mike. What's up?
Yeah, I wanted you gentlemen to give me some advice, please. I was reading, I have LastPass, and I've read about 3 different articles lately about they were pretty massively hacked, and I was looking around for some different alternatives. I saw NordPass, must be new. They want like $70 a year, but they're going to have a half price for $35. It's a lot of more bells and whistles than I need. All I'm looking for is a vault. And I cringe at the fact that you have to download all about 34 passwords and put them back in again to a new account, et cetera. And I don't know if you think it makes any sense to stay with LastPass, hoping that they fix the problem. I know Nick has NPass, so I'm just wanted to see what you guys thought.
I use NPass also.
Let me start with what happened with LastPass. They had a breach back on November 30th, and they said, not a problem. Some user information, but in a third party, blah, blah, blah. Now, which is about 2 months later, they said the cyber attack actually hit several of its products, and they got customer encrypted backups as well as the company's encryption key.
Ouch!
Yes. So what we're suggesting, this was actually going to be the next news item I read. What we're suggesting is that you stop using LastPass, and that if you are using LastPass, you change all your passwords after you stop using it. So what are you going to use instead? Well, I like NPass. What I like about NPass is it's not terribly expensive to own, and it works on everything. It works on your Android phone, so it will also work in your Chromebook. It works on Windows. It works on Linux. It works on Mac. It works on your tablets. It works, everywhere. Probably in your refrigerator, for all I know. So what I would suggest you do is LastPass has an export function.
Mm-hmm.
So you can export to a CSV, comma-separated variable file. NPass has an import function for CSV. Well, there's a match made in heaven.
Mm-hmm.
So you can export all of your LastPass passwords, import them all into NPass, and then go through and, starting with like your banking information, change those passwords. And I know that's a pain in the patoot, but honestly, you got to do it.
Yeah. No. You change them after NPass has got them, you're saying?
Yeah. That way, the people who stole your data on LastPass have out-of-date data.
I got you. Okay. Yeah, it's a pain in the butt, but okay, that's what I was afraid you were going to say. Yeah.
Sorry.
I never got any kind of notification from them, and somebody said, "Well, we got it." They always downplay this stuff, and apparently, it's pretty significant when you read some of these other articles written
It was
sometimes
incredibly
by the competitor
significant.
or third.
It was in their blog. I would have thought they would have emailed it to registered customers, but
Well,
if you
I think
didn't,
they
if
said
you
they were
didn't
gonna do
register your
that.
email address or use a different email address now, or it went in your junk folder.
It does say that GoTo, who's the parent company of LastPass, GoTo is making contact with affected customers directly and advising those who were impacted to reset passwords and reauthorize their multifunction authorization settings out of an abundance of caution.
So if they haven't contacted you, you may not have been one of the affected users,
Or they haven't gotten to
or
you.
haven't gotten to you yet. Now, so LastPass itself is a decent program,
Right.
And this can happen to anybody. That's part of the problem.
Right. It's not. We're not blaming GoTo for lax procedures, although clearly somebody was lax somewhere.
Yeah. Well, I know you guys like NPass, so I thought I'd just run it by us. So I think that's a good idea. I'll get that. All right. Thanks a lot, gentlemen. Appreciate it.
All right. Thank you. One of the things I like about NPass, and I think LastPass does this and several others as well, is you can say, I'm putting this on, I want the vault to be on my Google Drive. So here's my LastPass, my NPass password. Encrypt my vault on my computer, then upload it to my Google Drive.
Yep.
Now it depends entirely on how strong your password is as to how well encrypted your vault is. If your password is 12345, you're not really protected at all. If it's trust no one or any that sort of, you're not protected at all. But if your password is some sort of, 15 character upper lower numbers everything thing, you're in pretty good shape. And once it's on your your Google Drive, you can then access exactly the same vault from all your devices.
Yep.
So if I save a password at home and I then look at my phone, it's there.
Yeah. And many of the password managers use the Have I Been Pwned database, and you can go there yourself, haveibeenpwned.com, and you can see if your email address has been lost in a public breach, and you can also check your passwords. The password 12345 has been seen in 2,570,000 breaches.
Yep. So probably don't use that one.
Right.
How about 1234556?
That's the same password I have on my luggage.
37 million times it's been seen.
All right, back to the phones. Our next caller is Greg from Rochester, New York. Hi, Greg. What's up?
Hey, thanks for being on the radio. You guys are freaking awesome.
Thanks.
Hopefully I've got something here that's an A, easy fix, and B, I can do it, and that C, you've actually heard about before. So Windows, I have a Windows 10. It's an HP machine. It's a good machine. It's an i7 chip. It's I got lots of memory, lots of gigs. It's a good machine. Windows was hounding me for an update. I did an update about 4 days ago, and out of the blue, or actually out of the wind, Lynn came down and knocked my Greenlight Networks line down. Now, I've been using Wi-Fi because I just never got the hardwire line up to this computer.
Sure.
And it was fine. It was working fine. And then when the green light line went down, of course, there's no internet. 24 hours later, they fixed it. Everything's fine. They put up a new line. Every other unit in the house is fine, okay? I have now, after the update, after the new green light line, I have zero available networks on this computer, which was working perfectly fine till the line went down. Now, I've done the reboots of both the modem and the wireless router, unplugged them, did all of that, reset the restarted the computer, shut it down, followed the troubleshooting thing on the Windows 10, and I've got nothing. Now, I'm going to be forced to use the hard line, unless maybe you guys have heard this before, but I've got nothing. And when it says available networks, nothing. I brought the laptop into the room. The laptop picks up the Wi-Fi, no problem.
Yeah, that
So
losing
I'm
internet
wondering
would have
if
had
you've heard
nothing
that.
to do with your Wi-Fi network.
Yeah, I wouldn't think so.
Unrelated.
So,
Now you're saying it works if you plug it in hardwired, but doesn't work if you use if you use Wi-Fi.
No. I have a hard wire that I've got to run all the way down to the basement to hook it up. And I was going to set up this computer that way. I just never did because the Wi-Fi popped up right away.
All right, so I would try that first and see if that works.
Unless it's easier to move the computer up to where the router is.
Right. If it does work, if the hardwire works, it is possible that and I'm sure it's more coincidence than cause and effect, you've somehow lost the driver for your Wi-Fi. And that's actually a known problem with a couple of updates from Windows.
Okay, I knew it.
So what you would need to do is reinstall the Wi-Fi drivers into Windows, and that's a fairly extensive process. But it is certainly doable. You go into the network. Look, there's. I would search reinstall Windows 10 Wi-Fi driver, but the basics is.
I was gonna say, shouldn't he first make sure, since this is all redone, resetting that because of green light, to make sure in the router that Wi-Fi has been turned back on?
Well, his laptop works
with Wi-Fi.
With Wi-Fi.
Okay.
Yeah,
I didn't hear that part.
Yep.
And all the phones pick up the Wi-Fi, no problem.
Right. So in your device manager under network adapters,
Windows, then.
You click Action, scan for hardware changes. It should find the missing driver and reinstall it.
Where's the device manager on this computer? I'm finding
it's in the control panel. You got to go into the control panel of Windows.
What
and how do I find that? Because all I can
there's a little search. You know the little search bar down in the lower left.
Yeah.
Okay, just type control panel or device manager into that.
Yeah, device manager take you right to it.
Oh, well, actually, when I click on the little Windows logo, I don't get...
No, not the Windows logo. Right to the right of it, there's a little search bar area, a white area next to the...
With a magnifying glass.
That you can type in.
You can type in. And in that little space just to the right of the Windows logo, you can type in device manager, two different words, two separate words, hit enter, and or search, click the search, it'll find it, open it up in the device manager.
It'll do the search as you're typing.
Yeah.
So you may not have to type that many characters.
And it will then...
I don't have that. It's not here on this friggin' computer.
All right.
You
got your taskbar down at the bottom, right?
Well, yeah, all the little logos that are down there for.
All right. In the lower left-hand corner is the Windows logo, right?
Right.
To the right of that, is there a white area?
Nope.
Is there a little
Magnifying glass?
magnifying glass?
Nope. It's not a real old computer.
You can click on the Windows logo and type Control Panel, and it will jump you down to there. Then you can go to Device Manager. But the Windows search should be there.
Yeah.
Unless it's been turned off.
There's nothing here. This is why I found the in settings, view hardware and connection properties, and under local area connection, Microsoft Wi-Fi direct virtual adapter, not present, disconnected. That's about as close as I can find.
That's why you have to go into the Device Manager and add the device driver back.
Yeah, okay. It sounded like it would be something simple like that.
All right, to get your search bar back, right-click the taskbar.
Okay.
Select taskbar settings.
Taskbar settings.
And there should be somewhere on that thing, you may have to scroll, it says there's a search switch, and that's probably off, and you have to turn that on. Then you can do all the rest of it. And I'm sorry, we're out of time.
Okay, I'll figure it out. Thanks, guys.
Yeah, you will. Okay, thanks. Well, that's it. We're done for another week. I want to thank everybody who called in. Quite lively this week. Very nice. I want to thank Dave Enright. I want to thank Steve Ray. I'm Nick Francesco. This show, I got to say, like I said for the first hour, it went fast. And that's all on you. That's great. We love that. Make the calls, and we will take the questions. But we're done for another week. We'll be back next week with a whole lot more of the longest-running computer show in the known universe. Sound Bytes right here on the truly great and truly grateful to you that we are member-supported Jazz 90.1. We will see you in just 166 hours. Be good to one another, will you?
Here's another I Love New York travel tip.
Pamper yourself or someone